Boker Tov Chaverim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Got an interesting presentation for you today. President Erdogan's crimes fulfill biblical prophecy. And in reality, it's the Assyrian Empire that he is fighting against. Now, later this evening, I will be doing another broadcast on Palmyra, the Babylonian Empire, because there is a very interesting prophecy that links the Vatican directly with that Babylonian Empire. Just discovered that recently, and I want to be able to share that information with you as well. So do be watching for a second broadcast today. We'll be looking into depth at the Vatican, the modern day, or the mystery Babylon, as Revelation speaks about it, and also what has happened in Palmyra, the very city there where the Babylonian kingdom once stood, and how that has been blown down to the ground again, or finished being blown down to the ground. It's decimation. Anyway, let's go right into this. President Erdogan's crime fulfilled biblical prophecy, because some people may not realize just how much prophecy his crimes are fulfilling. Now, one of them, and this does not just pertain to Erdogan as well. This covers a variety of people around the globe, world leaders. But notice what Micah 7:2 states here: the good man is perished out of the earth, and there is none upright among men. They all lie in wait for blood. They hunt every man his brother with a net. That they may do evil with both hands earnestly. The prince asketh, and the judge asketh for reward. And the great man, he uttereth his mischievous desire, so they wrap it up. Now, verse 3 identifies who the good man that perishes out of the earth actually is. It is those men that are the prince of the earth, the judge, the different leaders, global leaders. This is what this is actually referring to. All of these leaders of the world are corrupt, right down to the Vatican, but no different than Erdogan, even Mahmoud Abbas, President Putin, President Obama. They're all corrupt. If they're in that system, they are corrupt. Remember, Yeshua actually comes, or Satan comes to Yeshua and says to him, when he shows him all the kingdoms of the earth, those in the past and those in the future, he said, these are mine, and I do whatsoever I will. I'll give it to you if you fall down and worship me. Of course, paraphrasing this. And Yeshua refused to do so because he knew that he had to buy it back with his own blood. So nonetheless, that is why you see such a corrupt leaders here. And it's interesting how he speaks about that they try to catch his brother with a net. They want to capture them. They want to torture them, etc. Let's continue on now. Now this is, again, we are looking at Erdogan as a war criminal, as a criminal period, but let's take a look at how he fills biblical prophecy. Assad says here, Erdogan's army is fighting in Syria. RT March 31st, 2016 brought this out. The army of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is currently fighting in Syria, but the country is ready to respond to the aggression. Syrian President Bashar Assad said in an exclusive interview with Sputnik. I actually tried to get the interview from Sputnik for this, but I didn't work out like I wanted. Turkey as well as Saudi Arabia have crossed all possible red lines, possibly from the first weeks of the Syrian war, Assad said. Now that's kind of provocative what Bashar al-Assad is saying, because Russia is the one that backs him up. So is Russia going to engage in bombing the Saudis and the Turks? Turks I can see him doing. The Saudis I don't know about. Let's watch what he says. Today the war against Erdogan and against Saudi Arabia is a war against terrorists. The Turkish army, which is not even Turkish, is Erdogan's army that is fighting today in Syria. He added, everything that Ankara and Riyadh have done from the very beginning can be considered aggression. Aggression in a political sense or in a military sense, providing terrorists with arms, or direct aggression with the use of artillery and other military violations, he stressed. Erdogan is directly supporting the terrorists as he allows them to move into Turkish territory to carry out maneuvers with tanks, the Syrian president said. This concerns not only individuals, he finances them, terrorists, through Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and through Turkey itself, of course. he said. According to Assad, his Turkish counterpart trades oil that has been stolen by ISIS, the Islamic State, or Daesh, at the same time carrying out artillery attacks against the Syrian army when it moves close in order to help the terrorists. So Erdogan is definitely, he is aiding and abetting the terrorist. He makes him a terrorist himself. It is very clear that that's what is going on. As we see in the prophecy there in Micah, you know, there is no good man left. They're all evil. They're all wicked. Continuing on here in another article, Turkey is key supplier of weapons, military hardware to ISIS. This was brought up to the UN recently. Article came out on April the 1st by RT. Moscow has submitted data on Turkey's illegal arms and military hardware supplied to the Islamic State in Syria to the UN Security Council. Supplies are supervised by the Turkish intelligence service. Russian UN envoy Vitaly Churkin said, as cited by Russian media. The main supplier of weapons and military equipment to ISIL fighters is Turkey, which is doing so through non-governmental organizations. Work in this area is overseen by the National Intelligence Organization of Turkey, Churkin wrote. All right, and now he goes on and says here, according to the envoys, transportation mainly involves vehicles, including as a part of a humanitarian aid convoy. The deliveries are performed through various checkpoints on the Turkish-Syrian border, as well as the waterways, particularly the Euphrates River, as the letter said. The weaponry received by the terrorists in recent months, including a TOW anti-tank missile systems, RPG-7 grenades, as well as various ammunition and communication tools it added. Now, I might add something in here as well, and it's very disturbing for me, especially being an American citizen, to see our own country backing Turkey in doing all of this. Now, it's not the American people. I can guarantee you that. The American people are not for Erdogan at all. But the Obama administration is, as clearly seen by Biden recently being there with Erdogan in his speeches there in Washington, and of course Obama to meet him as well. It is nothing but backing a terrorist nation. You have too much evidence that has really been brought out against this state, and the U.S. is doing nothing about it, has bases in Turkey. This is probably the reason why they don't. So I can only imagine where the weapons actually come from. Many of them, no doubt, U.S.-made weapons. The same article here, and by the way, the image on your screen, this was an interview. The one girl that was there that uncovered this documentation, they're having to hide her identity. But you can see there by the reports, they have the documentation proof of what's being done. It says here, according to the Russian envoy, terrorist groups operating in Syria received explosive materials worth $1.9 million from Turkey last year. Total supplies to terrorists through Turkey were as follows. 2015, 2,500 tons of ammunition nitrate worth approximately $788,000, 456 tons of potassium nitrate, $460,700, 75 tons of aluminum powder, $496,500, sodium nitrate, $19,400, glycerin, $102,500, and nitric acid, $34,000, Churkin wrote. Brothers, let me tell you something, sisters, this is nothing but terrorism at its height. And where are they getting this type of things? It does not come from Turkey. They have to get it from Europe. So all of these people are wicked and evil just to be able to make a profit. And speaking of profit, now let's look at another prophecy that Erdogan's Islamic army, I guess he really wants to be known as the Caliphate, because his Islamic military, they're in the ancient empire of Assyria, which includes all of Syria and northwestern Iraq, which includes Mosul, Nineveh, all these places. So let's look at what Nahum the prophet has to say about this. He says, but Nineveh is of old like a pool of water. All right, so it's telling you that Nineveh, this prophecy is not regarding Nineveh as a modern or as an ancient city, but it's an old city by the time this prophecy is to be fulfilled. That's what it means by is old like a pool of water. Yet they shall flee away. Stand, stand, shall they cry, but none shall look back. Now we know that is dealing with the refugee crisis. All right, now take ye the spoil of silver, take the spoil of gold, for there is none end of the store and glory out of the pleasant furniture. And Erdogan's Islamic jihadist military, including their own military, went into Nineveh as well. So it's not just ISIS. Erdogan's Turkish military, along with special forces from the United States, went into Nineveh just last year. So they're all guilty in this. She is empty and void and waste, and the heart melteth, and the knees smite together, and much pain is in all the loins of the faces of them that gather blackness. Now, notice what they stole: the gold, the silver. They steal the antiquities. It says the pleasant furniture, which would be antiquities. But watch what it says here. This was found on the Department of Artifacts. Document expose antique loot trade via Turkey. RT exclusive. March 31st, a new trove of documents obtained by RT documentary crew who recently uncovered details of illicit ISIS oil business with Turkey sheds a light on the jihadist lucrative trade of looted antiquities, along with their well-established oil and weapon transit routes. See, they're busy over there, guys. Busy at this. Following the exposures of the detail of ISIS oil business, RT has exclusively obtained additional evidence that sheds light on the jihadist black market of plundered treasures and its transit routes via Turkey. Again, implicating Erdogan right in the prophecy itself. According to a document, the Kurdish People's Protection Units, the YPG, turned over to an RT documentary crew the so-called Ministry of Natural Resources established by ISIS to hold grip on the oil operation as a separate department of artifacts. One of the new documents is not that has the same letterhead of ISIS Ministry of Natural Resources as the oil bills of sale, which we discussed last time. A reporter whose name and face have been obscured for the security reasons, which what I was told you, says anyway, the note apparently addressed to the checkpoint sentries asked brothers at the border to allow Turkish antiquity seller into Syria for the purpose of mutual profit. Unbelievable. Anyway, same report here says the jihadist files show that ISIS has kept very professional records of their oil businesses, including the name of the driver, the vehicle type driven, and the weight of the truck, both full and empty, as well as agreed upon the price and voice number. That's dealing with the oil trade that they were involved in. But let's look at a little bit more here. This here is continuing on the same article. As locals residents who had been forced to work with ISIS oil industry told RT earlier, the extracted oil was delivered on an oil refinery where it was converted into gasoline and other petroleum products, and then refined, and product was sold. The intermediaries from Raqqa and Aleppo arrived to pick up the oil and often mentioned Turkey, they said. The operational video of the Kurdish captured Islamic State militants revealed more details. Oil-related work insisted ISIS, including the salaries of the terrorists, were paid. Now, this was, let me just share with you here, this is what RT, they were interviewing some of the captured people there, and they spoke openly about it. This one guy says, we Daesh know that we financially depend on oil. Earlier it was said we only sold to civilian buyers, but there's no way they could buy so much. Our wages are from $50 to $100 depending on whether you are married or not. I am married and have a baby, so I was paid $135. When the oil supply across Tel Hayad was cut off, the problem started, he said. So he's implicating the Turkish country by his own statement there. But going back to the antiquities, and then we'll get into a little bit about the gold that is being looted. This was on the Irish Examiner, November 24th of 2016. More than a third of Iraq's 12,000 important archaeological sites are now under ISIS control. And it has hastily begun excavating and selling artifacts dating from 9000 BC to 1000 AD. Through intermediaries to collectors and dealers, says Al-Hamad Hamdani. It is looting on the average, of the very roots of humanity, artifacts from the oldest civilizations in the world, a shrine, a tomb, a church, a palace, or an archaeological site is dug up, they will sell the useful objects and destroy the rest. You know, and then we get into the gold. Remember what the prophecy said in Nahum, they take the silver and the gold. According to Fortress Gold Group on June 24th of 2015, it said currently the new gold dinar coins, now this is not the new one, this is one of the ones that were stolen, they have reported exchange rate of $139 should begin entering circulation soon. ISIS has been called the world's richest terrorist organization. The group acquired much of its gold last year when it began selling oil for the metal and reportedly looted more than $425 million from banks in the region last year. The looting allegedly also included a large amount of gold bullion, according to the governor of Nineveh, Athel al-Naif. And so friends, remember, Nahum clearly, and just a few frames back here, clearly said they would take the gold and the silver. And it's exactly what they are doing. And it all is directly linked back to President Erdogan. He is the one that is responsible for allowing this to happen, and he is the one that is getting fat pockets from all of this wealth that is going on in the Middle East. Anyway, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun, and reporting with you with Israeli News Live. One other thing, let me just real quick tell you something here. We have really begun to realize that, especially with Israeli News Live, we can even see it in the viewing, when it comes to prophetic insight on what news is going on, that's what people really enjoy about this channel here. So we are going to actually take, when we go into our weekly teaching, rather than doing it here on Israeli News Live, my wife's channel, Rise Women of God, it's her YouTube channel. You can go there. I'll actually put a link in the description box here on Israeli News Live on our channel here for you. So if you want to subscribe there, you can. And by the way, those of you that enjoy recipes, Yana does do. We just started. We did our first one for her. She is doing vegetarian recipes on that channel as well. So if you like that, and it doesn't matter whether you're vegetarian or not, I'm sure many of you would enjoy to be able to have some of these type recipes as an alternative source for you as well. But anyway, we will actually start our own teachings there as well. And for those that are not interested in just news only, would like to do the teachings, go there. That's where we're going to start doing that at. And we will keep Israeli News Live for dealing with world news, current events, and as well the prophetic side. So it's still a teaching here as well, where we deal with prophecy teaching here and how it relates to biblical prophecy as the events unfold in the world. If it doesn't relate to the prophecy, we'll bring out the news and just bring it out. So anyway, shalom, God bless you, and thank you for watching. Stand with us. We do need your support. IsraeliNewsLive.org. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun with Israeli News Live. Thank you.